So for this portion of the lesson, we're going to be covering Hydra and Burp. So let me go to the slides. So starting off with Hydra, it is used to brute force logins. What kind of brute forces you can do? Well, you can brute force for HTTP, FTP, SMTP, and SSH. It's a dictionary attack, so you give it a word list of usernames and passwords to try, and it will attempt with all of those items. Some limitations is that some sites put rate limits, number of requests you could make. It can really slow down Hydra. Firewalls or IDSs. IDS stands for Intrusion Detection Systems. And then sometimes if you have too many failed attempts, it will just lock you out. So let's go back to the handbook. On page 3 for Hydra. I updated Hydra a little bit. I'll put the new PDF in the resources page after this. But Hydra is pretty simple. You just specify Hydra with these limited number of flags, and then the service with the colon / / and then the IP address. And so you have -L, which is basically just the username that you can use, like a single username, or you can do -L, which is a list of usernames. And then you do -P, and then you can specify like a word list for passwords. And then you have this one here, HTTP post form. This is for when you're doing like an HTTP, like a login attack on like a PHP page or something. So you'd have to preface it with this. Here is 2 simple commands. This one is just with SSH. So you say Hydra, I'm trying to log in as user admin, and then I just use this password list called passwords. And then I specified I'm using the SSH protocol, and then I write the IP address afterwards. And now this here is an example of what it would look like on if you were attacking a login page. So you put that HTTP post form kind of identifier here, and then you put it in as a string, the URL to that login page. Then you set usernames equal _user _. This will be replaced with this, and then your password, this one, will be replaced with all of these. And then this string here, incorrect login, you would have to change to this depending on the kind of message you get when you like when the login fails. So I'm going to go ahead and show off an example. I've got my Kali machine set up over here, and I've got this separate Ubuntu machine, which is just I got from the web dev class here. So it's set up here, and this is IP address 192.168.0.200. So I'm going to go here, and let's first check for the device. So that's an ARP scan. There it is. And now I can run an Nmap scan. We can run like kind of a special Nmap scan this time because we're specifically looking for SSH, which is on port 22. So we can specify just look at port 22 with the -P flag. And here it says SSH is open. Perfect. That's what we want. So I'm going to go ahead over here and let's create our Hydra command. So we'll say Hydra. The username is something that I know already. I know I'm logging in as student, but if we were trying to, like, if we were doing a hack the box, we would have to look for this user. So that's something you would have to find out separately, and then use a password list. This example, I just use RockU, which is a very infamous word list, very, very big word list. And then I specify SSH, because that's what this is on, and then I write the IP address. I also write this -V that just gives me a verbose output for each attempt. Like I'll print like the password it's trying and whether it succeeded or not. So if I just hit enter, it starts up again. This warning here is because I previously ran this command before, like testing it before doing this meeting. And so it kind of like saved my position there, but I'm just going to restart so I can kind of just show you what I mean. So yeah, here it will attempt to log into 192.168 with the login information of the username student with a password of 123456, and that is one out of this number of passwords. So yeah, this is going to take a very long time, so I'm going to go ahead and just close that. And I already written out that command here. And you can see how many passwords it's tried. We can go through all of these, and then here at the bottom, it was a success. On port 22 SSH, the host, the login was student, and then the password was student. So yeah, so that's pretty much just Hydra. It's very, very simple, very short. Moving on to the next one. Burp. The Burp Suite. Burp Suite is basically it's like a suite, so it has a bunch of like tools in it that you can use, and it has it has a bunch of multi-purpose tools that you can use. So we can talk about them. Yeah, it's a versatile security assessment tool and it has built-in features. There is a paid version. You do not need to use it. So when you go to the download page, which I linked down here at page 7. Yeah, page 7. This is the website where you can download it off of, and then the version you want to get is the community edition. So yeah, you would have to install that because I don't think it natively comes with Kali. So yeah, you can do a bunch of stuff, like you can set up a proxy proxy browser, and you can use that to write in like your URLs for attacking. And then you have the intruder. This is used for brute forcing, like brute force logins or fuzzing. Then you have the repeater, which is for specific injections. Then you have the sequencer, which basically kind of checks for hash vulnerabilities. It tries to see if there's some sort of pattern with the hashes, so you can kind of abuse that. Then you have the decoder. It can encode and decode, kind of like CyberChef, which we reviewed before. And then logger, which is just a history of your requests. Then you can kind of like repeat those requests again. So I'm just going to do a small overview, not on all of these, because we have a bigger Burp Suite workshop planned out. So I think I'm just going to go by or just review. I think maybe I can like touch on these ones over here, but on the handbook, I definitely talk about. Yeah, I definitely talk about them here. So we're gonna go ahead and start with just setting up a proxy. So Burp has a GUI, so you just start up Burp after you installed it. Yeah, and then you start a temporary project. You just hit next. Burp defaults, that's fine. Just hit next. Okay, and then here we are. And just close that. Here we are. So we have, I don't know if you can see it, but we have proxy up here, intruder, repeater. Collaborator is one of those, one of the paid tools you don't need to worry about. Sequencer, decoder, and then the logger. And then you can also download extra extensions here as well, so you can get more tools. So just starting with a proxy, you can go ahead and open up the browser, and it will start a Chromium tab here. This is the company over here, so this is the proxy. I have a hack the box like set up already. It's called PermX. This is the one that we did last Saturday, and I just have it booted up right now. So then, this is the VPN. I have it set up right now, so then we can go to the website, lmspermix.html. Now this was the login page for this website, and I'm going to show off intruder. So if you go to your proxy, you can set interceptor on. So that basically means the next kind of request you make in the browser, the response will be sent to Burp instead of being forwarded. So I can go ahead and just write some bogus username, password, and once I hit the login button, you see it pops up here in Burp. And you can see this is the information I was using. So here's that username I was talking about. And then here's this password. And now what you can do is basically from proxy, you can go to intruder, repeater, sequencer, decoder, blah, 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 by highlighting your like the point of interest, right clicking, and then you can like send it to a different like tab. Like here, I want to send it to the intruder. And then in the intruder tab, you can see here it's highlighting this keyword, and you can look for this attack type. You have a bunch of different attack types, but you can just stick with sniper. This is just your default run through the whole word list kind of attack, the most simplest form. You can go to payload, and this is the part where you kind of insert your word lists of choice. You can add stuff individually here, like I can write password 123 or something like that. Or you can go ahead and hit load, and you can load a word list instead. Like here, I want to use this one called fasttrack.txt, and there you go, and it'll load all of those word list kind of stuff. It'll load all of those contents. So now we can go back to positions, and you can hit this orange button that says start attack. And then you can just safely ignore that. And there you go. And it'll go through all of these requests. Here are these passwords. It's trying out. And you can see the status code that it gives you for each response, 302. This is kind of like a redirect. That means it probably isn't the correct password. It'll probably be correct if you get something like a 200 or something like that. That usually means that it was a success. So I'm going to go ahead and just stop this because I know the password isn't here. So you can just hit discard. But then that's basically how you do like login brute force. You could use something similar with fuzzing instead. So like let's say if we had a kind of like a form. So let me go ahead and let's try going here. And just make like a random search, like I don't know that. And you can see here, when we do this search, it does this query search indicated by the question mark Q and then that whatever thing I typed in. You can actually let me do something better, like there you go, just that, and then I can go ahead and go back to my proxy and turn on intercept. We can make this search now. You can see here it does this get request and then does this search, and you can see that kind of query message I was talking about before. So you can send this, like this response here, and then send this to like you can send this to like the repeater or something, and then in the repeater you can go ahead and change the response manually by just taking this and put I changed the response. And then when you hit the orange button send, you can kind of get a response for that. Yeah, here you go. It was a success. It made a new search, and then you can do I changed, and there you go. You can see it made this new URL search for I changed the response. So that's just an example, just doing this query search. But if we had like a database or something like that, which does a lot of, we can do a lot of query searches. You can go ahead and try all sorts of different things. So in here, this could have been like an SQL injection. So you can do like from all, like select blah blah blah. So yeah, that's just a quick example of how you can use injections with repeater. I guess the last thing you can kind of do is, I mean, I have like this cookie here. We don't know the encryption for it, but I can go ahead and just show you what I mean by being able to decode stuff. And go ahead and right click it and send this to like the decoder. And then if you know the encoding, you can decode it here. You have URL, HTML, base64, ASCII, hex, octal, binary, and gzip. So like if it was base64, I could have decoded it with that, but I don't know the encoding for this. So yeah, I mean, and then you can go ahead and look at the logger. And then these are all the different requests that I've been making. And then, like I said before, you can go ahead and make like a right click, and then you can send this like this past request into the intruder repeater, and you can also like add it back to the scope if you want and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean that's like the surface level knowledge you need for burp. It just has these tabs you can focus on. We mostly use the intruder. The proxy is very useful for being able to read this information as well, but intruder and repeater. So yeah, I guess a very quick overview. It's a very short one today. We basically looked over. Uh, we basically looked over Hydra. Very short, very simple, very easy to use. You can use it to brute force login for almost or for the services I specified here, or HTTP, FTP, SMT, SSH. I highlighted the ones that are most important. Yeah. Well, thank you. Yeah, it was a very short one today, but that's that's it.